We're in the ninth chapter of Sotah. We're dealing with this person who's mysteriously been murdered, or he's been found murdered in the desert. And we're going to measure to the nearest town. The authorities from the great Sanhedrin in Jerusalem are going to come out and supervise the measurement. And we're going to measure to the nearest town. So the Mishnah asks, I mean, perhaps obsessionally, but maybe there's something else going on here. Minayin hayu modadin. From what part do they measure? I.e., from what part of the body? Rabbi Eliezer Omer mitiburo. Rabbi Eliezer says from the navel. Rabbi Akiva Omer michotmo. Rabbi Akiva says from the nose. I think we can understand Rabbi Akiva because, of course, the breath comes from the nose, and the definition of a living person in halachic terms is someone who's breathing through his nose. So we can understand Rabbi Eliezer, or we can understand Rabbi Akiva. I'm not sure about Rabbi Eliezer. Maybe there's a sort of center of the body somewhere here. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov Omer. Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, "Mimkom shenasa halal mit savaro." Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov says, from the place where he was made into a corpse, i.e., from his neck. So there seems to be an assumption here that he's been hit in the neck, or he's been struck in the neck. And we'll see in a minute that the heifer, which is going to be killed, is also going to be struck in the neck. So there's something about the neck here. Nimtza rosho b'makom echad vegufo b'makom echad. Maybe his head was found in one place and his body was found in another place. So, well, what are we going to do? It kind of really reinforces the problem about where we measure from. Divrei Rabbi Eliezer. They bring the head to the body, according to Rabbi Eliezer. Well, Rabbi Eliezer would say this because he wants to measure from the navel. So he wants to measure from the middle of the body. So naturally, Rabbi Eliezer would bring the head to the body. Rabbi Akiva Omer, Haguf etzel harosh. Rabbi Akiva would say, bring the body to the head. Remember, Rabbi Akiva says we're going to measure from his nose. So for Rabbi Akiva, the nose is the most important part of the body. So we'll bring the rest of the body to the nose. And then we need another verse. Once we've carried out this measuring, we need another verse, because at that point, והיה עיר הקרובה אל החלל ולקחו זקני העיר ההיא עגלת בקר אשר לא עובד בה. So the elders of the town nearest to the corpse are then going to take this heifer, which has never been worked. So we're going to need this pasuk. But let's jump back in the Mishnah for a second. So we've done the measuring. Niftaru ziknei Yerushalayim v'halchu lahem. So the elders of Jerusalem, they get going, they go away. They've done their job, they've ascertained who's responsible. And as we've said, even though the elders recite a declaration, look, our hands haven't shed this blood, clearly, because they have to go through this process, there's some implicit acknowledgement that they are responsible. Because in a well-run society, people don't just go out in the desert and die. So the elders of the nearest city have to do something. And we'll find out. Let's carry on in the Mishnah. So Niftaru zignei Yerushalayim v'halchu lahem. The elders of Jerusalem depart. They've done their job. They go away. They've identified the nearest city. Ziknei otah ir meve'in eglat bakar asher lo ubad ba. The elders of the city bring a heifer which has never been worked. That's a quotation from our verse. Asher lo mashcha v'ol, which has never been worked in a yoke. V'she'ein hamum asher lo mashcha v'ol. V'she'ein hamum posel ba, and a blemish doesn't disqualify it. So it doesn't have to be a perfect a perfect heifer here. Any heifer will do. Blemish doesn't disqualify it. Umoridinota el nachal eitan, and we bring it down to a hard wadi. Nachal eitan. The meaning of eitan is not clear, but the Mishnah is quite clear about it. It says eitan ki shmu'o kashe. Eitan is like its meaning. That is to say, hard. Let's just go back and have a look at the verse. The verse says the elders of the town will take a heifer that's never been worked. Asher lo badvan, asher lo mashchava'ol, that's never pulled in a yoke. Vehoridu ziknei ha'ir ha'hi ha'agla el nachal eitan. So they're going to take the heifer down to a nachal eitan, a hard wadi. Asher lo yaved bo velo yizarea. It's never been tilled, and it will never be sown. This is a desolate place. It's some hard ground that's never been tilled for sowing, and it will never be sown in the future. Velo yizarea. It's in the future. It will never be sown. Ve'arfusham et ha'egla banachal. And in the wadi, they break the heifer's neck. And I mean, we don't know that a ton means hard, but there's a nice quotation from Bereshit. It's a bracha of Yosef ben Porat Yosef ben Porat ale Ain. Yosef is a fruitful bough, or whatever that means, and he's assailed by archers. Vateshev be'etan kashto. His bow stayed hard, almost like he kept on holding his bow tight while he was being attacked by the archers. So Vateshev be'etan kashto. Seems to be he can hold his bow taut or hard, and that's the meaning of this word eitan. And the Gemara asks, Amar Rabbi Yochanan ben Shaul, Mipnei ma amru Torah hevi egla banachal. Why does the Torah say bring a heifer to a stream? Amar HaKadosh Baruch Hu, the Holy One, blessed be He, said, Yavo davar shelo asa perot. Let something that did never produce fruit come. This is a 1-year-old heifer that's never had children. So we're going to bring something that's never had fruit. V'yeref b'makom she'ein oseh perot. We're going to break its neck in a place that doesn't produce fruit. So we're going to bring something that never produced fruit, and we're going to kill it in somewhere that doesn't produce fruit. V'chaper al mi shelo hinichuhu la'asot perut. And he will atone for someone who was never given an opportunity to produce fruit. So it's all deeply poetic and symbolic. Let's come back to the Mishnah in a second. We'll talk about the Rambam. So they bring it down to a hard wadi. And the Mishnah says, Eitan ki shmor. Eitan means hard, like the literal meaning. Afal pisha ein eitan kasher. Even if it's not hard, it's valid. So this hard thing is poetry. It's not halacha. It's still kasher. Ve'orfin oto bakopis me'achareha. And they break its neck with a hatchet from behind. Almost an allusion here, perhaps, to someone who's murdered, perhaps by hitting him with an axe from behind. And we've already said that according to Rabbi Eliezer ben Yaakov, the neck is the place where the murdered person was murdered. So there's something about the neck here. And then we go on just to sort of emphasize the pathos and the tragedy. Umukoma asur milizarea umileabed. The site may never be sown or worked. Umutar lisrok sham pishtam, but we can comb flax. Ulnakot sham avanim. We can carry out sort of basically work with dead stuff. We can work with dead stuff there, but we never work with live stuff. Now, it's very interesting. The Rambam, Maimonides, in his commentary here says, look, the reason we do this is because we want to publicize this unsolved death, and we think that someone will come forward with information. So for Maimonides, there's a rationalist interpretation. It's as if we're carrying out a live replay of the death in the hope that information will come forward about the murderer. But that the sense of the Mishnah is quite non-rationalistic. There's something about the poetry of the person that never produced fruit and the place that will never produce fruit and never has produced fruit, and this animal that's never produced fruit. It's almost as if it's to teach us something about the tragedy of wasted life, and of course the responsibility of the elders to make sure that society is set up in such a way that this doesn't happen again. I'm going to try and stop recording here.